Welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy, back again with another live stream. We are here to talk about our attacking midfield situation. It's something that is very, very hard, especially this season. We have suffered so much in terms of creating chances, in terms of scoring goals, in terms of getting the relevant amount of goals we need per game. Per 90, we've been scoring so little, especially in games where we needed to score more goals. And if you look on the table, we're almost conceding at the same rate at which we are scoring. We are scoring 1.3 goals per 90, and then we are almost conceding 1.3 goals per 90. That leaves us in a very difficult situation. At a big club like Arsenal, you need to think about a bigger picture, and for me the bigger picture is we have to score more goals, we have to concede less. And the fact that we are scoring less goals, it has triggered a lot of questions, especially in pundits and fans like me, trying to think about what is the problem and how can we solve the problem. So in this video, I'm going to try to, it's not transfer rumors, it's not transfer speculation. We're going to try to compare the players that have been linked with Arsenal in terms of attacking midfield and how important would they impact our squad in terms of creating more chances and in terms of impacting the squad in scoring more goals. So basically what we are going to discuss in this video is trying to rate and rank among the attacking midfield options that Arsenal has been availed with, from Jack Relish to Emmy Buendia to Brandt and Paulo Dybala and a couple of others that we have had and seen who would be the best candidate. And of course, this puts in perspective a lot of things, including the budget that we can run. I think per player, Arsenal will have to spend around 30, between 25 or between 20 actually, to 35 million pounds. I don't expect astronomical prices from Arsenal. I don't expect us to go for astronomical bids. I don't expect that. Later in the day, we shall discuss our defensive midfield issue and try to rate and rank the players in that area. I think it has been an issue. However much I think Granit Xhaka has been a little bit consistent this season, the attacking midfield option has been so lacking. Even with the introduction of players like Martin Odegaard and Emile Smith-Rowe, our goal scoring rate has been, it's not that of a big team. It's more of a goal scoring rate of a team that is mid-table. And it's not a surprise that we are fighting to finish 9th, 8th, and 7th. That is the ceiling. That is our ceiling this season. You remember almost the whole season, Arsenal has been 15th, 13th, 12th, and 11th. By the end of the season, miraculously, we can finish 7th. That is if Spurs do not win or get a point in their last game, which I think is going to be very hard. They're playing Leicester City. I think they will get a point. So basically, we will finish 8th or 9th. And that has been confirmed. I don't think it troubles anyone at the moment. Not in terms of not in terms of ambitions, but in terms of the fact that our season, that has been our season. Where we finished this season, I think it only brings out how our season has been defined. The poor Arsenal, the Arsenal that has always been struggling. So in this video, let us try to look at the attacking midfield options Mikel Arteta is looking at, Edu is looking at, the club are looking at. And I'll suggest some names that we've not seen linked with Arsenal. Some deals that I think will be a little bit good to do, probably, and try to see how we can solve the midfield issues, especially in terms of in terms of scoring the goals. So first and foremost, I think the way we started off the season was on a bad note, especially with Mesut Ozil being left out of the squad. I don't know what Mikel Arteta did this. But I don't want to go into it because we've discussed it before at the beginning of the season. We have talked about much of this at the beginning of the season. And we did say that either it's politics or there was some kind of ego between Ozil and Mikel Arteta. I really did not understand. That's the truth. I did understand why Arsenal had to drop Mesut Ozil at the beginning of the season. He was the only number 10 we had. He was the most creative player in that side. Even if you brought him back right now with Martin Odegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe around, I think what Ozil gives you is far greater than what the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe give you, than the likes of what Martin Odegaard would give you. The experience, the leadership, the amount of chances he can create as a player. You cannot compare him to the likes of Smith-Rowe and Odegaard. So for Mikel, we started the season without a number 10. I think he wanted to use Willian, and things didn't work out very well. So with Willian flopping, the likes of Nicola Pepe having a very slow start to the season, we had one player to lift us throughout the season, and that's been Bukayo Saka. So for me, I think it was a big mistake leaving out Mesut Ozil. A very, very big mistake. We should have never done that. Mikel Arteta should have never done that. At least we should have included him in the squad. When things went wrong, we could have given him playing time. But it's so hard to understand. It's very hard to understand why the only attacking midfielder we had in August did not make it to the squad. And it's a very complicated story. But to move on, towards Boxing Day, I think it was Boxing Day when Emil Smith-Rowe got his first chance to play for Arsenal. He was introduced in the squad by Mikel Arteta, and I think he's done well. He's one of those players that I think are really exciting. He started scoring some goals, and I think that's what you need to do as a number 10. You've got to create the chances, but you also need to add some goals to your game. And I think he's done it brilliant well. He's scored some goals. He has had a lot to offer ever since he was introduced in the squad way back in December. So I think a lot of credit goes to Emmy Smith-Rowe. And as I discuss the new number 10 at Arsenal, I think I need to put a lot of emphasis in the role of Emil Smith-Rowe, and I need to be a little bit prudent, because why you need to be a little bit prudent when you're talking about the number 10 situation is if you brought in an experienced player like Relish, or if you brought in a player like Emmy Buendia, you might need to sacrifice Emil Smith-Rowe. At this moment, you don't need to do that to his career. He's not at his peak, but he has started slowly, hatching. I think his career is in the hatching mode. The moment you block, you block him at this moment in time, you're gonna kill him. So I think a lot of credit must go to Emmy Smith-Rowe. He did brilliantly well. And since Boxing Day, we have collected more points than any other team in the Premier League, apart from only two teams. That is Manchester City and Manchester United. So I think the coming of Smith-Rowe in December increased at least some goals in the team. And then another brilliant move that I think we made in January was to sign a number 10. In that time, by that time, we didn't have money, so we went for a loan deal for Martin Odegaard. And I agree, it was a good deal. Very, very decent. Very decent. I think the club needs to get some credit there. We always criticize the board and everything. We never give credit as Arsenal fans waste. But I think at this point in time, we've got to give some credit to the team and the board. With the financial situation we were facing in December and January, we managed to bring in Martin Odegaard on loan. And I think there's been a vast difference. There's been an improvement that you cannot play down. There's been it's been a revolution at Arsenal. We've got to agree. It's been a revolution. We have seen many more chances created now. We've seen many goals scored from January with Emil Smith-Rowe and Odegaard introduced as attacking midfielders in the team, as compared to last year when we began the season without a number 10. But still, it has been not good enough. And that brings me to the topic in this video: who should be our number 10 come next season. We've been linked with a number of options. Your work in this video is one. Just tell me who is that player you think is the right candidate, but also give me a reason, because I'm going to give you reasons why players like Emmy Buendia, why players like Jack Relish might not be what we are looking for. And I think players like Paulo Dybala could be what we are looking for. I'm not being biased. I do like Emmy Buendia. I do like Paulo Dybala as well. But I think there is something that I feel with Paulo Dybala, especially in terms of how Arsenal play their kind of football, that I don't see in Emmy Buendia. But I'm going to try to digest that. Who should be our number 10? Who should be who should Arsenal sign in terms of attacking midfield? So I'm gonna discuss 5 players in this video. I'll discuss Jack Relish. He's been linked with Arsenal. There is no doubt about that. The money and the financial implications of the deal, I'm not going to discuss that. I'm going to discuss basically the quality of the player. So I'll discuss Relish. I'll discuss Emmy Buendia, who looks like the second best candidate after Martin Odegaard. So we'll discuss Martin Odegaard as well. We'll discuss Julian Brandt, my boy. I've done a video about Julian Brandt and his skills and so on. So make sure you check it out. It's already on the channel. And the interest I have in Julian Brandt is a little bit surprising. Then we shall also discuss Paulo Dybala. There's so many players I've left out, like Nabil Fekir, Mikel Oyarzabal, and a couple of others, the Madisons of this world. I've read them. But I also recommend one player like this that I think Arsenal have not looked at him. But if we decided to go for that player, it might make a lot of sense. So a lot of content, a lot of such content is going to come your way on this channel. Make sure you've subscribed, make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you give me your opinions in the comment box. All you have to do is tell me, among all the number 10 players we have been linked with, who should Arsenal sign and why? That's all. So let us get into it. Let's start off with Jack Relish, because he's the most technical among all players that have been linked to Arsenal. He's most brilliant. If Arsenal sign Relish, I think half of our fan base will be cranky in, and I'm not kidding. I know the Arsenal fan base. One day I'm gonna get a chance to discuss the Arsenal fans and how they're deluded, and how Arsenal fans being weak in spirit really affects the team. But at the moment, let's discuss Grealish. I think Grealish is a perfect finished article in terms of Arsenal looking for an attacking midfielder. I think that's the word. He's a perfect finished article. The only reason as to why Arsenal will not sign Grealish is the money. And of course, whenever you discuss Arsenal transfers, you've got to think about the money. But apart from the money, there is no other thing that would limit Arsenal from signing Jack Grealish. I know Aston Villa want to keep the player, but if you bring in the right amount of money at this point in time, they will sell. They're a little bit like the last season when they were first in relegation. They managed to keep Jack Grealish. At this point in time, it would be only wise for them. It would only be positive for them if they did themselves any good by selling the player and get enough money. There've been reports that if Grealish leaves, they're looking at Emmy Buendia, and you can see how good their scouting network is. They're so good, very, very good. I mean, if I lose Grealish and I sign Buendia, that's explainable. I mean, the fans will understand. We are a small team. We are small Aston Villa. We have financial issues. We need to sell some players to survive. And by selling some players, we are bringing in an Emmy Buendia. It would be a very, very nice deal. But why I love Jack Grealish and why I would take him as my number 1 attacking option in terms of midfielder Arsenal is Grealish has goals to his game. And I think if you think about Grealish, if you think about Paulo Dybala, if you think about Emmy Buendia, the difference they have with players like Julian Brandt is Brandt, Odegaard. The first 3, Grealish, Buendia, and Dybala, are goal scorers. They're goal poachers. They love scoring goals. So when you get Grealish, you have a midfielder who will score for you 15 or 13 goals in a season. Something that Odegaard doesn't have. Something that Brandt also doesn't have. Brandt is good at scoring goals. I think his finishing is okay, but he's not a regular goal scorer like Jack Grealish. So I think the first thing Arsenal would get in signing Jack Grealish would be that ability of a midfielder to score plenty and plenty of goals. You need it. The likes of Cesc Fabregas, why they've been very different, where they've been remarkable in their careers. When he was at Arsenal, Cesc Fabregas was a goal scorer. You remember? He created a lot of chances, but he also scored very, very many chances. And it's the thing I love about Grealish. He's always going to look for that opportunity to score in the game. So he has always set up the likes of Oli Watkins. He has set up the likes of Rosie Barkley, the likes of Joe McGinn, the likes of Traore, the likes of whoever has been in a goal scoring position at Aston Villa, and Grealish has the ball. He has received the ball from Grealish, but he spends spare some time to score goals. I think that is something that Arsenal do not have. Our midfielders, Smith Rowe scored 2 Premier League goals this season. Danny Ceballos has not scored any with Thomas Partey. Granit Xhaka has scored 1 goal in the Premier League. So if you get the summation of goals from our midfield, really they're not. Grealish has scored more goals than all of our midfielders combined. That is a shame. I mean, we should be ashamed. But I think that is something that Arsenal do not have. We didn't have it last season. It's taken some time ever since Arsenal had a midfielder who's also a goal scorer. Like I said, I've talked about Cesc Fabregas, but it also reminds you of Aaron Justin Ramsey. Ramsey was a goal scorer. I mean, those midfielders that are there to add to the tally of goals. At times, they will not score very important goals. Of course, Ramsey scored some important goals, game winners, in the FA Cup final against Chelsea, before the previous one that Aubameyang won. But before that, he scored the winner in that FA Cup. I don't want to talk about how decisive his goals are, but Ramsey is missed at Arsenal for the fact that he is the only midfielder in the past 2-3 years we've been at Arsenal. He's the only midfielder that has been scoring goals. The likes of Jack Wilshere, the likes of Iwobi, those are not goal scorers. We've not seen goals from them. The likes of Santi Cazorla, very entertaining. I love Cazorla, but again, he didn't have very many goals to his game. So that's why you miss players like Samuel Nasri, you miss players like Cesc Fabregas, you miss players like Aaron Ramsey, because they score goals, and that makes him for me. That makes them special. That makes them brilliant. A midfielder that scores goals is a perfect one. So it makes Grealish a perfect candidate for the attacking option. A lot. The other thing you love about Grealish is his ability to control games. And I think Odegaard has that. Emmy Buendia doesn't have it. Brandt doesn't have it. Paulo Dybala doesn't have it. Among all the candidates that I think, among all the candidates that Arsenal has, the only one that controls games, the only one that has that ability to control games is Grealish and Martin Odegaard. If you've seen how we play under Mikel Arteta, he loves holding the ball. He loves, entertaining. He loves having that ball, distributing it, having possession. I mean, the Pep Guardiola way. But the only way you're going to do that is you have to be able to control the ball. You have to be able to control the game. If you look at City, there are players like Ike Gundogan. There are players like Kevin De Bruyne. They also have the likes of Phil Foden. Foden is not a game controller, but Gundogan is. Mahrez is not a game controller, but Kevin De Bruyne is. And I think what you get from Jack Grealish is that ability to dictate what should be done in the game. He controls the game. that's why I would go for Jack Relish. He has that confidence, and he also has that system mechanism that can decide what should we do in this game at this point in time. So I would love Grealish. So he's the number one candidate. If you also think Grealish is your number one candidate, hit the like button. But if you feel Grealish is not the like button, is not your candidate, let me know in the comment section. Let me know why. Okay, number one has been Jack Grealish, and I think the problems I have with Jack Grealish, things we need to talk about him, is a little bit selfish for a number 10. And you don't blame him, because at Aston Villa, he's really playing a free role, and is more of an inverted winger, playing wherever he wants. So you don't blame him to be you don't blame him to be selfish, because he's the center of attraction. He's the center of everything at Aston Villa. But if he can release the ball more, I think he can play for any club in the Premier League. He's just exciting, isn't he? But let us talk about Emmy Buendia, another player that has been so much linked with Arsenal if Martin Odegaard doesn't sign at the end of the season. Now, Buendia is, should I say, Buendia is, just looking for that right word, I think he is all but a game controller. I think that is what Emmy Buendia is. If you're looking for that number 10 that is not going to control the game for you, that number 10 that is only going to do what is asked of him, that is Emiliano Buendia. And I don't have any issues with him, because we have the likes of Thomas Partey already, and we're looking at players like Yavis Bissouma and players like Kamavinga, players that really do love dictating how things should be done on the pitch. So if you have Partey, you can afford to have a player like Emmy Buendia. What I love about Emmy Buendia, first and foremost, is his goal scoring rate. It is astronomical. This guy scores goals for fun. He scores goals for fun. For fun. A midfielder who scores for you 15 goals in a season, I don't know what you're going to talk about that. I don't know what you're going to talk about him. And of course, there are reports that Arsenal are going to be making a move this week. So we expect that from Edu. We have that's according to goal.com. They're saying that Arsenal will want to make a move for Emmy Buendia this week. But what I love about Emmy Buendia, he scores goals, and the rate at which he creates chances is he's a very, very selfless player. I don't know whether that makes sense. Let me try to read for you his statistics in the past 2 years. Last season in the Championship, he played 39 games. He scored 15 goals and created 16 assists. So that means overall, he got engaged in 31 goals in 39 appearances. That is crazy. That is crazy. That is so crazy. So with Arsenal now looking for that number 10, I think the perfect candidate in terms of everything would be Emmy Buendia. Because for Buendia, even the price tag is acceptable. £40 million, that is acceptable. Grealish is, Grealish is 30. 70 million pounds, 80. That no Arsenal management, even if it's Daniel Ek, is gonna spend that money. I'm kidding. But for Emmy Buendia, you have first and foremost, you have a player who is who's playing for a lower club, who wants to make that jump from Norwich to Arsenal. That is a jump, first and foremost. You have a midfielder who scores goals. You have a midfielder who creates chances. You have, whenever I see him, I'm reminded of Felipe Coutinho. I'm reminded of Bruno Fernandes. I've done a video in our welcome series. It's Welcome to Arsenal, Emmy Buendia. And the fact, for me, the fact that Buendia has engaged himself in 30 goals last season, scoring a midfielder with 15 goals, literally is a midfielder who can earn you 20 points a season. 16 assists, that is another 20 points a season. So he's a midfielder that can get you around 35 points, 35 damn points in a season. That's very different. 25 years of age, 40 million pounds. He's played in the Premier League last season but won. He had 83 chances created at Norwich. 83 chances created. And I'm going to give a lot of credit to Norwich, because when they lost James Maddison to Leicester City, they replaced him with Emmy Buendia. Do they miss Maddison? I'm not sure. Because the statistics Buendia has this season, Maddison doesn't have them. And I think Maddison has been brilliant this season with the likes of Harvey Barnes and Vardy and Inacho. They've been so brilliant, but they don't have these numbers. So for me, in terms of pricing, in terms of scoring goals and assists, in terms of brilliance, urgency, speed, Emmy Buendia is my candidate. I would say drop Odegaard, go for Emmy Buendia. Now, many people say I'm crazy and I'm not consistent, because I said, I think it was around 3 weeks ago, I said Arsenal need to do everything there is to sign Martin Odegaard. So let us talk about Martin Odegaard and why I think Emmy Buendia is better than Odegaard in the attacking midfield role. The introduction of Martin Odegaard in January for Arsenal is something that we cannot overlook. Very, very. I mean, it's one of the changes that have ever happened at a club, and they're so visible, black and white. Odegaard this season has changed our team upside down. I think what he has done is try to tell us that the quality we have in these areas is not the quality we must be having. That's what Odegaard has done. And whenever he steps on that pitch, whether we are winning or losing, you can see his quality shines. He's so different from the lot of players we have. You can't compare him to the likes of Guendouzi. You can't compare him to the likes of Xhaka. He's not in that level. He is a little bit ahead of them. And I've seen many Arsenal fans trying to troll him, saying that he's not a Premier League player. Come on, people, come on. 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 bad games, they don't mean a player cannot do it. We have waited for Nicola Pepe for ages. And until now, when Pepe has started to develop, that is when many people are saying, including me, that's when we are saying, oh, this guy is brilliant. How did we see this coming? The truth is, Odegaard is an exceptional player, an exceptional talent. We've got to agree to that. So, why do I love Odegaard? And why would I pick him over Emmy Buendia? The ability to control games. This is something that disturbs us, no? We don't have game controllers. We don't have game controllers. If you look at Odegaard on that pitch, whenever he receives the ball, it's going to take a turn. It's going to take a touch, take a turn. Look at the perfect player next to him, before releasing that ball. And whenever he releases the ball, he's either going to move into space closer to the player so that he receives the ball again, or he's going to ask for the ball back. So that is the kind of player Martin Odegaard is. Give me the ball, I'll give it to you, but give it to me back and move. So Emmy Buendia doesn't have that. Buendia is involved in creating goals, but not involved in the overall game like Odegaard is. And I think one of the things you love about Martin Odegaard is how he organizes the team as a player. Whenever he's on that pitch, you feel like the whole team, the whole Arsenal team, is organized around him. I don't mean to give him a lot of credit, but that much is true. My problem with Odegaard is his numbers in terms of goal scoring are very, very, very low. at this point in time, when Arsenal doesn't have money to sign a progressive midfielder, to sign a goal-scoring midfielder, we need a finished article. That's why I said Relish would be so perfect. We need a finished article. We need someone who can control the game, someone who can score goals, someone who can create chances. That is where Buendia becomes the better player than Martin Odegaard. Because for Buendia, he's going to create for you chances, he's going to score for you goals. Controlling the game, find someone else. Odegaard is going to create the chances, control the game, but you need more goals from the midfield. And that's why I would pick Emmy Buendia over Martin Odegaard. But there are also two more players that we need to discuss. Brandt has been linked with Arsenal so much. Paulo Dybala has not been linked with Arsenal so much, and he is my candidate, the perfect player that I think if Arsenal signed, you don't wish to have Odegaard, you don't wish to have Emmy Buendia if you have Paulo Dybala. And I think the pricing is also okay. Let's first talk about Brandt, and then at the end we shall talk about Paulo Dybala. So most of you now understand why I love players like Brandt. Brandt is a bowler, and I really do love bowlers. Actually, all the players that we have talked about, all of them are bowlers. There is no one who's afraid of the ball. All of them are bowlers, and I think it's a quality that you need to have if you're going to play in attacking midfield. There's no way you're going to be... I mean, I've seen some players that are not bowlers, and they're good number 10s, but they're very few. They are very, very, very few. You look at the likes of Bruno, the likes of Madison, the likes of Dennis Barkham. You need to hold on to that ball. You need at least to hold the ball for 5 seconds, 6 seconds, as you think of what to use it, for. As you look for the best alternative, and when to release it. I think all of them are bowlers. And Brandt is a bowler. My problem with Brandt is... in the past 2 seasons, I've not seen anything from him. And, it looks like his career, however much he's 24, don't get me wrong, his career is on a slope. It's sloping down a little bit. It would be it would be a risk. That is what I'm trying to say. Going for Brandt would be a risk. But the good thing, he's 24 million pounds. That's the first thing. He's young. He has the resale value. He's talented as a player, and his focus majorly is on creating chances. He doesn't score many goals, so he's not going to score 15 goals in a season, but his focus is more on creating chances. If you have a player like Brandt, Aubameyang will receive around 3.5 chances per game. That is guaranteed. And as an Arsenal fan, as a person who loves those kind of midfielders, I really do like Brandt, because I need that player who can provide the ball, provide chances for my strikers, and I really believe, for me, the player to do that could be Brandt. But like I said, his career is a little bit on a slope, so I don't know whether he can revive it by making a jump from the Bundesliga to the Premier League. I think from moving from Dortmund to Arsenal, it's almost on the same level. But the Bundesliga and the Premier League is like a huge jump. So I don't know, but he is also there. My candidate that has not been linked with Arsenal on a large scale, but I think should be linked with Arsenal, and we should do that deal, is Paulo Dybala. If you know Dennis Barkham, if you remember Dennis Barkham, and that kind of number 10, I think Dybala fits in very well. He doesn't have the energy, he's not so tall, but he's perfect for the job. I think that is what, one of the things I can say about Dybala. Just perfect for the job. He can control the game for you, he can create the chances, he loves scoring the goals. His numbers speak for themselves in terms of goal scoring, in terms of creating chances, and his contract situation with Juventus is a little bit shady. So I think if Arsenal went for Paulo Dybala, you can at least get half of what Relish gives you, and you get almost 90% of what the likes of Emmy Buendia can provide, and the likes of Gilles and Brandt. But in terms of players Arsenal are linked with, I think we need to go for Emmy Buendia. That I think he's the more outstanding candidate in all the names that we love, in terms of the finances, in terms of on the pitch quality and everything. So Odegaard is a good player. If if he stays, I'm okay with it. But if we have to choose between Odegaard and Buendia, where should we spend our 45 million pounds? Where would you spend that money? I would spend it on Emmy Buendia. I'm gonna look at some of your comments in the chat and see. I have a new software, so it's a little bit disturbing. Now says, if we have a good summer window, do you trust Arteta to optimize players' potentials? He's not done it. I don't think he has optimized. I don't think he has optimized the potential of the players we have at the moment. So I cannot really back him. To do that. But if we have a good summer, I'll give him until January probably. Yeah. You give him until January. Gogo says Relish is another expensive Buendia, presser, creator, and goal scorer. Yeah. Actually, I think you make a point. Relish is so expensive, but you can get what he provides if you sign a player like Emmy Buendia. Brilliant comment. Thank you so much, bro. Go. And then Fenta says, I need Relish or Arsenal. The problem is that the club can't afford his asking price. That much is true. That's the truth. That much is true. So we've got to agree to that. Gogo says Buendia isn't a flair player. He doesn't do those amazing dribbles that excite you, but he will get the ball to the final third and scores. That's according to Gogo. Thank you so much, Gogo. Brilliant comment. I really loved it. Okay. Nell says Relish is not going to happen. We don't have owners who will spend 80 million on a single player. Arsenal fans need to keep expectations realistic due to KSE, and that's why I say probably the best of them would be the best player in that regard. Probably would be Emmy Buendia, because I think his deal is a little bit more realistic. That's the truth. I think his deal is a little bit more realistic, isn't it? Okay, let's look at. Goga says, forget Dybala, brother. He's had his best years. Go for hungrier player. I don't think Dybala has had his best years. I think we get it wrong. I think we get it wrong. Martin Odegaard is well and organized. Yeah, he's a very organized player. That's true. Very, very organized. Very organized. Odegaard is not a risk taker like taking on players. His game is very basic. And I think that's one of the reasons actually that's why I like him. He's a basic player who gives you that assurance that whenever you're in possession, you're gonna keep it. He's not a risk taker. That's true. Looks like Eddie's going for Odegaard on a permanent and play Emil Smith role in number 10. Yves Bissouma central midfield, right back Max Aarons, left back Ryan Bertrand. Only realistically gonna happen. I mean, that would also be a summer that I would rate out of 7 out of 10. That would be a summer I rate out of I rate out of 10, and I would give it a 7. Yeah. Okay, let's look at some of the comments on the page. How can you people say that Dybala has had his peak? I don't think. I mean, what you're trying to mean is Dybala has already performed well at a younger at a young age on a big stage. That's what I think. That's what you're trying to say. But in terms of quality, I think he's better than many of those number 10s that Arsenal is linked with. Better than many of them. Better than many of them. Smash the like button, people. If you're watching live, thank you so much for always tuning in. Like I said, I'm going to do the same topic on who should be our number 8, and we shall talk about that at exactly 7, I think. Who should be our number 8 at 3? At 3, is it 3? Yeah, at 3. We shall talk about much of the Arsenal news as it comes in, and then at 7 we shall talk about who should be our number 8, and then at 9 we shall talk about what exactly has our season been like. We might need to rate some of our players, and I think we shall do that. So make sure, please, you do smash that like button. I'm gonna be logging off just now.